gathering some extra data during this session. Nothing you need to worry about, but as we have some new parts, we'll just confirm they're performing to spec.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my F1 2019 career mode for the German Grand Prix in Season 2. So we have upgrades on the car, as you just heard, so that will continue to push us ahead of the field, I should hope, but it is only a fuel consumption upgrade, so it's nothing really major. So yeah, it's not going to make a huge difference, but we already had the fastest car at the last round. The last few rounds really, so I'm not too worried about our pace relative to everyone else, but we'll check out the R&D screen anyway to see what gains everyone else has made. You can see the upgrade on there. It's only a minor, but we still are actually only second now on the aero side of things, and we have some chassis upgrades coming, but we still lead in that department, but they're coming in for Hungary, so we should be looking good there, which will make a nice change for me. But you can see Ferrari now are quite close, so they've really caught up, and you can see other teams, Red Bull, have gained a bit too. Williams had a big upward trend there, but anyway, let's get into qualifying and see where the pace is at for this weekend.
Welcome back to qualifying, where we're waiting for the lights to turn green in the pit lane to signify the start of the session here at the Hockenheim ring for this weekend's German Grand Prix. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though. It's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
Alright, so we move on to the end of Q1, and you can see we obviously make it through right behind Charles Leclerc with Alex Albon, Nico Hülkenberg, Antonio Giovinazzi, Danny Kvyat and Daniel Ricciardo knocked out. Ricciardo starting from the back of the grid, so really not a good time for my fellow Australian. We move on to Q2. We just about make it through down in P9. There was a mistake on that lap. You can see Lance Stroll makes it through for the first time in a while into Q3 with Devon Butler, Kevin Magnussen, Kimi Räikkönen, Lando Norris and George Russell knocked out in the second session. So we move on now to Q3, and let's see where we can position our car on the final grid. I believe my main rival in this session will be Charles Leclerc. So let's try to get as clean a lap in as possible. We've got to get a little bit of a tow along here, so that should be a little benefit to our lap from our teammate, no less. But we run a little bit deep into the hairpin and out onto the runoff area. But I don't think that cost us too much time in the grand scheme of things. But still not ideal for the total lap time. But as we continue on through the lap, just not a perfect line, and running again wide through the middle sector, and now into the final sector. I have typically had a lot of trouble with spinning on this corner, and this last sector in Season 1 I had a lot of trouble with, but I put in a few extra practice laps and really got used to how to drive in that last sector.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Vettel, Perez and the scientist. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
A big shock, it's a Ferrari 1-2 for the German Grand Prix. I did not see that coming. Jeff wants to buy me a pizza, okay, if I manage to lap the field, but I love that message. But yeah, Ferrari 1-2, and Racing Point's 3rd and 5th But I guess we'll get into the race and see how it plays out. But maybe we didn't have the pace that I thought we might.
There's nowhere at all I'd rather be today than here at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix. We have an incredibly competitive field this year, which means we should be in for a treat. And judging by the sea of people filling the grandstands, there's a fair-sized chunk of Germany that agrees with me. It's 2.8 miles around the Hockenheim ring then, with an average lap speed in excess of 130 miles per hour. The long curved back straight leads into a tight hairpin for the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. But there are plenty of other options available around the 17 corners here today. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Now, can I talk to you about Pierre Gasly? There's a new gearbox in the back of that car, which means a grid penalty, and hopefully some excitement as they make their way through the field.
Well, at the end of the day, it's always better to take some pain now than parking it up halfway through the Grand Prix. Let's just hope they can put that new gearbox to good use and get the results they're looking for.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have the scientist, Hamilton, Lucas Faber and Leclerc, Verstappen, Bottas, Stroll and Weber and Butler. Magnussen, Gasly, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Kimi Raikkonen and Norris, Russell, Albon, Nico Hülkenberg and Antonio Giovinazzi. Ricciardo and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching.
Alright, let's try to do that. We are, for the most part, the fastest Mercedes-powered car, so we are carrying the hopes of Mercedes with us in this round. As for the strategy, it looks like the soft tyres are going to be pretty horrible. They're going to wear out quite fast, so I think it will be just to drag those soft tyres through the first stint and then run the rest of the race on those two sets of medium tyres. The other combinations I could come up with just were not going to be as fast, so we'll stick to the default strategy as we now go to 5 red lights. And lights are out and we are underway for the German Grand Prix, and it's an alright start. We're going to challenge Sergio Perez around the outside, and we just about managed to get that done a little bit off circuit, but Perez really slow through the first corner. Sebastian Vettel has made a great start and has gapped everyone by miles. We've got a bit of a buffer back to third due to how slow Perez was going through turn 1 on the inside line, and Vettel is...
Alright, well done off the line. We're in a good position.
Vettel's got an unbelievable lead through the first few corners. We're going to try to close up through the rest of this lap, but it has been a storming start from Vettel. He will be absolutely loving it. Obviously it's his home race, so he'll be trying to get the best result he can, and right now he looks a very solid chance for a good result. I'm not really catching him as we head through the first sector, so I'm not entirely convinced about the pace that we're going to have. Obviously the consistency is another matter, and I don't know which of our cars, whether our car or the Ferrari, will have better tyre wear as we put a few wheels off into the dirt and the gravel there, but we managed to get away with it on that occasion. But yeah, I'm not sure who's going to have better tyre wear, who's going to be faster later in the stint, but Vettel has stormed away for now, and now it's Perez that's putting the pressure on down the inside into the hairpin, and we have to leave space. We run a little bit deeper into the corner, get a switch back, and make a bit of contact with Lewis Hamilton behind us in the Red Bull there, and we'll slow it down to see what Hamilton saw. I had this planned the whole time. I didn't anticipate Hamilton being there, and that's taken a chip out of his front wing, unfortunately for Hamilton. But it's not a major damage, but it will affect his race. But we go down the outside of Perez, but unfortunately no moves to be made there, and we have to continue on. You can see Hamilton trying to come back at us, but not going to work for him there, and we hold on to the position through the middle sector, but we seem to not have the same sort of edge we've had in the last few rounds. The Ferraris are very, very solid around Hockenheim, it seems. Vettel is gone. There's no chance of catching him at this point unless we have a safety car of some kind, but for now I'm just trying to keep Sergio Perez honest, but even that, you can see just not even close enough into the hairpin that time, but we're sitting right behind him. We might be able to make a move into this left-hander, and we're going to try it, but not really anything to do there. He left the space, but I didn't quite have the confidence on the brakes to be able to make a move to the inside, as we now have to cover off Lewis Hamilton after a bad couple of corners for us. So yeah, we have eyes everywhere, forwards and backwards in this race, but we're going to go for it again along the back straight. DRS really is what's keeping us in the game here, and again we're going to go for a switchback, and oh, we ran into the back of him there, and hopefully that didn't do any damage to our front wing. I think we'll be okay, but yeah, Perez really slow off of that corner with the narrower line, but still just no way past for us, and Sergio Perez holds on to second position, but we move on again, and we're going to get a lovely run through the first corner, a little bit on the edge of the track limits on the inside there, but we are closer than we've ever been through this right-hander of turn 2, so hopefully that means we can make something work for us on the run to the hairpin. A bit of a mistake though through turn 3, and that cost us a little bit, but we're still fairly close. We're going to go for it, not quite, as we almost run into the back of him again. Sergio Perez seemingly quite slow through that apex. We did rush the entry to that corner a little bit, but yeah, just no way of getting past Sergio Perez at the moment. We're throwing everything at it, but I'm not sure if he's trying to hold me up and give Vettel a big lead, but it is starting to feel that way, because Vettel, I can't even see him anymore. He has just absolutely disappeared off into the distance in this race, and this is what I mean about Sergio Perez and Vettel. On any given day, either one of them can be faster. I would have thought Perez has been the more consistent one over the season, but Vettel in this race
Pit window open. Let's box this lap.
has the home ground advantage, and yeah, that is serving him very, very well at this point. Lucas Weber down the inside now, as we're starting to lose touch with Sergio Perez heading towards our pit window, and yeah, it just hasn't gone well for us really as we continue on through this race. But into the pits we come, and not speeding, thankfully. I found this pit entry actually quite tricky, but we did get used to it eventually in practice. But medium tyres on,
Complete, go now.
and off we go again for the second stint in this race. Hopefully we'll get some clean air, but it doesn't look
Up to
promising.
speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
And we literally joined the back of a massive train of cars. First up in that train is Nico Hülkenberg in the Toro Rosso. The Toro Rosso, not a very fast car in this season, and along this straight you'll see the time we gained versus him versus how much we were gaining on Sergio Perez before, and we're going to fly straight past around the outside, and he won't be able to put up much of a fight, unfortunately for him, but fortunate for us because we don't lose too much time there. And
Okay, good work. Great pass.
we just need to keep doing this and overtaking these AI cars without losing too much time. Can we dive Norris? Not quite into that left-hander. There's very little overtaking opportunities in the second half of the lap, so it is going to be quite costly for us, as we're just going to have to follow him through here. But a decent exit out of that right-hander, and we're going to send it down the inside here into this left-hander here. Slightly banked that corner, which is nice, but we managed to get that move done, and now we can focus on Daniel Ricciardo. You can see the time we're gaining all the time through here, and now we're going to make a move on Ricciardo into the first corner. We're not going to back out, we're going to send it down the inside, lick the stamp and send it, and we get past the postman. I don't know what that means, but whatever. We got the position versus Daniel Ricciardo, and now we're sitting right behind Antonio Giovinazzi, and with DRS we should be able to overtake the Alfa Romeo. Also not a very fast car in this career mode, so we're going to go around the outside, but he blocks us off. We switch back to the outside of the hairpin, and we should be able to sweep around and take that position as Albon and Magnussen battle away up ahead. But it looks like Magnussen won that one, but we need to hopefully clear these two cars, but I think it's too late because everyone else is making their first round of stops now, and it is going to be very tricky for us to maintain our position. I think we did get held up quite a bit. We jump everyone who pit on that lap, which we send one down the inside of Magnussen, getting very impatient, and well, that was just a bit rude, wasn't it? But we do get the position.
They're on old softs. Their tyres are 13 laps old. We think they've got at least 3 more stops. The time last lap was a 1:19.1.
Oh, Magnussen sends one back down the inside into the hairpin. We're going to take a wide line on the entry, switch it back, and try to get the traction on the exit as we head into the second sector, and we should be able to get this done on the inside through this right-hander. We do, and get the position back. But a 3-stop for George Russell, so there's more strategies playing out in this one than I thought. Some people are doing 2 stops on 2 sets of soft tyres. I think that's what Sergio Perez is doing, and some people are doing my strategy. Some people are doing 3 stops of various different varieties, so it'll be interesting to see how they all play out.
You have P3. Vettel is ahead of you. The gap to the car ahead is 8.3 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Hamilton behind. The gap behind us is 3.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. The gap to the leader is 19.9 seconds. Your pit window doesn't open for more than 20 laps.
Alright, thank you, Jeff. But confirmation there, Perez is the car in the lead, and he has not stopped yet. So I think his lead is just under 20 seconds, so I think we should be able to jump him. But as we move on, he will catch up to us as we run a little bit deep into the hairpin, and he gets that position from us for free pretty much, and you can see there confirmation of what I was saying. He is on the soft tyre, so that's
some information on Stroll. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
Is that, but Stroll with an issue, and that's really unfortunate because Stroll was having an amazing race so far. He would have probably been in the running for a 5th or 6th place finish, I think, the way he was going, but now some issue is going to be slowing him down. Didn't seem to be in the corners, so maybe he's lacking some straight line speed or some top end speed, but from this point he dropped back through the field severely after running so well in this race, running better than Bottas was, which was a bit unusual for him the last few races. Remember in the first few rounds he was going to be almost a championship contender, running 2nd at the Australian Grand Prix for a long time, being overtaken by Hamilton in the end in that one. But as we get overtaken by Lucas Weber, and this is a scrap that's going to go on for a while because we seem to have very similar pace to Lucas Weber, and with the DRS we're going to come back at him down the inside as we head towards the hairpin, and we're going to actually get the move done before the hairpin, and we block him off and take the position away from Weber, up back into 3rd place for us. Still the 2 Ferraris leading the way in this one, and Weber putting pressure on for the final podium position. So this is be an important one for him. He hasn't scored many podiums in Formula 1. The race win in Spain, really the
Gap ahead is 3.6 seconds.
Really the only highlight for him so far.
Battery charge is low. If we turn down the ERS deployment, we can harvest more energy.
In this first season and a half. So Weber goes down the inside once again into the hairpin. We can't hold around the outside this time. We just didn't have the presence on the outside for him to leave us the space there. So we backed out of it, let him take the corner, and we just follow on and wait for another opportunity to present itself. But you can see Weber also is on the soft tyres, so that would explain why he is running so well in this race. I struggled on the soft tyres in this one in the first stint, and it looks like Weber has them under control though. A much smoother driver than I am, that's for sure, as you can see in evidence right there. But Weber defending into the hairpin, but I didn't have the confidence to take that gap on the outside. That looked like it was just going to end in an aeroplane crash if I tried to do that. So as we continue on through this race, it is Molly's going to make another pit stop. So yeah, that will promote us.
You have P3
into third, but he will come back at us at some point later, I am sure, and he'll get the undercut here. But right now we've actually got Sergio Perez behind us as we run in second position. Vettel still in the lead, but Perez and Weber both now have made their final stops, I believe. Perez definitely has. He's on the mediums going to the end. Weber, I'm not quite sure, but they're both really putting the pressure on here as we head into the hairpin, and we run deep into the hairpin and take a very straight exit, but it's going to hold up Sergio Perez there, and maybe Weber can cause some issues for him. That would be ideal for me if they can hold each other up and I could just get on with my race, but we're going to have to keep defending from these two to try to hold this position. But all four of us, Vettel, Perez, Weber and myself, are miles ahead of the field, it seems. I haven't seen another car other than us for a while as we head 3 wide into the hairpin, but we managed to hold on there on that occasion. But yeah, that was a crazy moment. But Weber now ahead of Perez, and hopefully he can just hold him up for me. But it won't quite play out that way as Weber goes down the inside into the hairpin once again, and he's on the fresher tyres, remember. We still have another stop to make.
Tyres, they look okay for now, but we can see the wear. If you can't feel it already, then you'll certainly start too soon. Just be careful.
But Weber is actually on soft tyres, so he still has another stop to make, as do we. So this is still anyone's game between the two of us, so we don't want to let him get too far ahead. Sergio Perez is on the mediums. He is going to the end, as I said, so Perez basically has second place booked in at the moment, so there's not too much point in battling him. But we kind of have to battle Perez to battle with Weber, because those two are going to be fighting with each other as well. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, both for myself and Perez, that we have to be holding each other up, and Weber as well. But anyway,
Pit now.
Eventually our pit window does come along, and we'll see if Weber pits on this lap or not. But as we head towards the pit lane, we lose the rear end massively through the penultimate corner, run wide, entering pit lane, and we're carrying too much speed into the wall and just about managed to save the car enough to not lose a wheel there as we head into pit lane now. But front wing damage, and that will be a new front wing for us as we trundle into pit lane, and you can see him going to work there, new front wing, but that might ruin our battle.
This position puts us 3 places off our predictions, 3 places down from our objective finishing position.
But it might ruin our battle with Lucas Weber, which is unfortunate because...
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
I was really looking forward to that one as we re-emerge between Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. I have no idea where strategy is at this point in the race, so I'm just going to fight everyone as if it's for position, because I have no idea what anyone is doing at this point. But we do catch up to Lewis Hamilton, and this will be for the 4th position. So I know this is about where it's running, so I think it's an important overtake, but I just don't know. But we get down the inside, a little bit of a bump, but we get the move done on.
Okay, we need some energy harvesting. reduce ERS deployment.
Lewis Hamilton. Weber is a few seconds up the road, but he's not too
Virtual
far.
safety car, virtual safety car. Reduce speed immediately and keep a positive delta. Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta is negative, which means you are too fast. Reduce your pace.
George Russell had a mechanical failure, but I couldn't get a replay of it, so we have a black screen instead.
Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until the green flag. VSC ending. Wait for green.
Alright, lost a bit of time on the
Okay, clear.
end of the VSC, but I'd rather lose a second or two there than get a big penalty for speeding under virtual safety car. So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, but that has brought Hamilton right up behind me again, and now he's going to make a move down the inside into the hairpin. We squeeze him to the inside a little bit. We're going to get a nice switch back as Verstappen has to watch where his front wing is, otherwise he'll get damaged just like Hamilton did back on lap 1 or 2 of this race. But we switch to the inside of Hamilton into this left-hander in the second sector, and we get the move done and take back 4th position from Hamilton. So nice move there for us, but we move on, and we have the lapped car of Kevin Magnussen, I believe, in the Renault. Just there we get past him without too many issues, unlike in Austria where we got 20 seconds worth of penalties. So obeying the blue flags this time, but as we move on, Lewis Hamilton, goes round the outside again into the hairpin, but we're going to hold him off, switch back there for Hamilton. We're going to be side by side as we head through the middle sector, right on the limit there, and we're going to hold him off through the inside line here and take back 4th position. But all this battling has ruined my chance of catching up with Lucas Weber. We're not getting any time as Butler now goes down the inside. I haven't seen him the entire race, I haven't seen him all season, but well played. He is actually in contention. I can confirm this is his legitimate position, is 5th in this race. So well played, but still not ideal for me. But Haas improving.
Weber ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 3.2 seconds.
But 3.2 seconds to Weber.
4th position. You're in 4th position. Weber's just ahead. Push for the position. The gap to the car ahead is 1.5 seconds. They're on bold mediums. Butler is behind you. Our gap behind is 1.4 seconds. They're on bold mediums. Our gap to first place is 45.4 seconds. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 7 laps to go.
So as you said, they're coming to the end of the race, and I really decided to put my foot down and try to put some good laps in, because well, firstly, there is no way I'm going to get beaten by Butler, and I thought, you know, Weber still isn't too far ahead. 3 seconds is a gap that we can make up, and we've already cut that gap in half. I think he was running in some slower engine modes or battery modes, because he seems to have sped up again. But we have gained significant ground on Lucas Weber over a fairly short time, really. So we should be in the running here as we continue on. But we're bringing Devin Butler with us, so this could be a 3-way scrap for the final spot on the podium with our former F2 teammate and our F2 rival from way back in, I guess we could call it season 0. But anyway, continuing on, we're going to make a move, not quite, way too far back, because we almost run into the back of him instead. But P4 for us still, but you can see Butler right there, right behind us, and ready to take advantage of anything that might go wrong between us. But DRS open again through this same section of track. Weber defends. We go to the outside, round the outside of Lucas Weber, and we should get this stopped in time, just about there, and we make the move. Now Weber, actually it's a pretty good exit considering he was pitched on the inside there, and he will maintain the position ahead of Devin Butler.
This is your final lap of the race.
Final lap now, and we just need to hold off Lucas for one lap. Butler's dropped back slightly, but he's still well and truly in the running. We missed the apex through turn 2 slightly, but a good exit here.
Okay, gap seconds.
Not quite enough for us because Weber in the DRS in the slipstream is going to have the speed. So we're going to take the racing lane and just see if he makes a move. He does. Super late on the brakes from Weber. We switch it back to the inside and we get the power down as we head through the second sector. And we're going to be pushing him literally through this right-hander flat out and down the inside into through the middle of the second sector. We get the move done around the outside here, but we're already ahead and clear of Lucas Weber and take back third position. And now through the final few corners of the lap, final few corners of the race, Sebastian Vettel the race winner, Sergio Perez second, and we will complete the podium in a pretty good comeback.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
I thought the race was over with that damage just before the pit stop, but we got it done.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win.
Look at the screens.
Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So it's a Ferrari 1-2. I did not expect to be saying that when I started this episode, but P3 for us. We limit the damage. We beat Charles Leclerc, who is our main championship rival, but Vettel and Perez are the ones celebrating today.
So let's review the updated driver's standings. The scientist increases their championship lead. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today. An incredible performance.
Oh wow.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Thanks, Rofty. P11 for Ricciardo from the back of the grid. That is a decent drive from him. But yeah, P3 in the end, getting Lucas Weber. And to be completely fair, I have to thank Weber and Butler for that, as we definitely made a completely legal pass on Perez through the first corner. But yeah, after Butler tried to make that overtake, I kind of thought, hang on, let's get a move on here. And really, if that didn't happen, I don't think I would have ever caught up to Lucas Weber. So that was a good bit of encouragement at a much needed time. Wow, that is horrible. So yeah, that really changed the ending of the race as we had 3 wide there. Oh, sorry, Lucas. But yeah, Weber, a good race from him. 4th place. Shame that we took the podium away for him, but he just didn't quite have the pace at the end. It was really, he had great pace on the soft tyres compared to what I had as we sent it into the pit wall. But yeah, just on the mediums he wasn't as good. The McLaren obviously not as good, and that just didn't work out for him in the end. But a very good result for him and for McLaren, especially compared to where Lando Norris was for the majority of that race. Lando really struggling in this one. But yeah, Leclerc, I'll finally get to him. That was quite interesting. We really didn't see him the entire race. I did check. I don't think he got any damage or anything throughout the race. He just had a bad race on the whole. So yeah, that was quite weird, I have to say. That Leclerc just didn't have the pace today. So hopefully he will come back in Hungary. But yeah, just very strange, very strange race. Seeing as we have a very fast car.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts.
You've had experience with Devon's fast, aggressive style.
Any advice for the drivers he passed today?
Get a move on. That's my advice. You need to fight as hard as he does, and just try your best to come out on top.
There wasn't much between you and Lucas by the finish today.
No, it was a very close race, and it's great to be racing wheel to wheel with him. Obviously, he's my old teammate from Formula 2, so it's always good for old time's sake to go racing.
You left some body work out there on the track. Were you struggling for grip?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say that. Yeah, you could.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Claire. Thanks for calling me out on the pit entry issue. But anyway, we continue on to end off the weekend. Yeah, smashing Sebastian Vettel. Well, smashing is a bit of a strong word. We're beating Vettel in the rivalry. He gets a few points back on us this time with that race win, but we did limit the damage in that with the podium. But anyway, the rivalries, not really a big deal, but every little bit helps with contracts, etc. And we'll have a bunch of points to spend on the R&D. Do we have...
Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.
Yeah, so we'll have a bunch of R&D points to spend, so that will be very good for us. Going into Hungary, I want to try to get as many upgrades on the car as possible, because I know Hungary is one of my worst tracks on the game. So I'm going to hope that we can pile on the upgrades, and even if Leclerc wins by 20 laps, I'll be able to drag the car up to second position and limit the damage there. But as for those upgrades, I think the only way we can do minor upgrades is on the durability and aero side. The other trees don't have any minor upgrades to do for us anymore. So it's probably about time we did some durability. So we're going to do a little bit on that side of things. But
if it were me, this is probably what I'd invest in.
we do have some aero upgrades, minor ones that we can do, so we'll do that. A little bit less drag, but that's not going to make a huge difference around the Hungaroring. But like I said, every little bit counts, and look at the list of upgrades that we'll get, so that will really help us out. But Williams looking very strong on that chart. They had a lot of upgrades into this weekend, and it showed. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Goodbye.